Unit 4 Review, Question 15. Shade the indicated quantity, fill in the place value chart, and rewrite in the indicated forms. So our first question is 3/10 and 4/100. Okay, so this square is our unit, and it's broken into 100 equal pieces, each of size 1/100. Okay, there's 10 in each column and row, so this would be 10 hundredths, which is equivalent to 1/10. Okay, so notice I'm going to fill in 1/10, and notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So one column is 1/10 of the whole. Now I need 3 of them, so I'll go ahead and fill those in. And we use orange for tenths, so we can make connections through the color. And then for hundredths, we're going to use yellow. So there's 4 hundredths. Well, a small square is equal to 1/100th. So we're going to shade 4 of those. And you can shade them wherever you want, but we've been making the practice of shading them from the left over and the bottom up. Okay. So now let's put this in the place value chart. Well, there are no whole ones shaded because this represents 1. We have 3/10 and 4/100. So as a decimal, we write this as 0.34. Okay. As a fraction, we could say that we want to use the fact that 34 in total are shaded because we have this broken into 100 equal pieces. So there's 34 shaded out of 100. So our fraction is 34/100. And that's actually how we say this decimal in words too. This would read 34/100. A lot of times that can be a lot to say, so we say 0.34. But 34/100 really has more meaning. Let's look at the next one. 2/10, so that's going to be 2 columns. And then 9/100, so that's going to be 9 small squares. I'll start from the bottom, and I know there's 10, so I'm going to stop 1 shy of 10. As a decimal, we'd write this as 0.29, 2/10 and 9/100. Okay. Now we'll put that from the place value chart in as a decimal, and as a fraction, there's 29 small squares shaded out of a total of 100 small squares. Let's look at the next one. Shade the indicated quantity and write the corresponding decimal number. Okay, so we're actually given the decimal number. We're going to fill in all of this information. Let's start by putting it in the place value chart before we shade. So 0 zeros in front of the decimal, 3/10, 0/100, and 7 1,000ths. Okay, so we'll start with the largest quantity, the tenths. So a tenth is an entire column, so we want 3 of those. And now notice there's 0/100. Okay, so this is actually 30/100, but there's 0 yellow squares that we need to fill in. The 3/10 is covered by these. And now we have 7,000ths. So a thousandth is when we take 100th, this small square, break it into 10 equal pieces, then one of those is 1/1000th. Okay, so we have 7 of those. Okay, so notice this says zoom. Okay, it's this size. We're scaling it to this size so we can shade it and be able to see. Okay, because thousandths are that much smaller. Okay, now this isn't going to be perfect, but I'm going to put this back in the chart. So it's more than half. Okay, so maybe it looks something like that. Again, that's why we zoom in. But the important thing to notice is 7,000ths, even though 7 is bigger, it's not even a full 1/100th. Okay, now in expanded form, we're going to start with the tenths, and we're going to write 3 times 1/10. Okay, so it's 3 copies of 1/10 plus 0 copies of 1/100th, because there are 0 whole hundredths, and plus 7 copies of 1 over 1,000. Now in words, okay, we can read this from the place value chart, okay, as 307, and then look at the last place value that you're using on the right. Okay, so basically what this boils down to is if we cut all of these hundredths into 10, well, we know this is 3/10, or this is 30 hundredths. If we cut them into thousands, this would be 10 30 times, or 300 thousandths, plus these 7. Okay, so rather than reasoning through that process, what you're going to do is read this number as if it's a whole number. So 307. And then your place value name is going to be thousands because the rightmost digit is in the thousandths place. Now notice, maybe you'll see in a second, I am not saying thousand, I am saying thousandths. Okay, there's a THS on the end. So just like with any fractions, second, third, fourth, fifth, okay, the denominator is 1,000, so it has a TH at the end. Let's look at the next one. Plot the following decimals on the number line below. Label the points underneath the number line. Okay, so here we're given the number line and it's broken into tenths. It's kind of hard to see that. Be thankful we didn't have to do this on our own. But we just want to get the idea of the relative place of these numbers. So here's 0, here's 1. If these are tenths, this means 0.7 or 7/10. So I'm going to start at 0 and move 7 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is 0.7. Notice it's less than 1. Even though we counted seventh, we were counting by the unit fraction of tenths. Okay, next we have negative 1.9. So I'm going to start at 0. I'm going to go negative 1, and now I'm going to go 0.9 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'll label that a little bit lower. And notice this is a trick that you can use sometimes. I would have gone to negative 2 and said negative 1.9 is 1 less. Then there's a lot less counting to do or place to make errors. Okay, 2.3, this is positive, so I'm going to go all the way to 2 and then count 1, 2, 3 tenths more. This is 2.3. Now we have negative 2.7. Okay, well, that's between negative 2 and 3. I'm going to use counting backwards. So this is negative 3, negative 2.9, negative 2.8, negative 2.7 is right here. Or you could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the left of negative 2. And finally, 1.2. I'm going to start at 0, go to 1, and then go 2 tenths more to the right. And label that 1.2. Let's look at the next problem. Order the signed decimals below using the symbols less than, equal to, or greater than. Okay, so here's a general strategy. We're just going to go through this as we go. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is start at the decimal place furthest to the left and compare the numbers. So here we have 0, 0, they're the same. After the decimal we have 5, 5, they're the same. In the hundredths place we have 4 and 0, they're different and 4 is bigger. That means this number is bigger. So I'm going to put greater than, the bigger open part is pointing towards the larger number. Okay, and just to show you, what you may think, well, 54 is smaller than 504. If we wrote them with the same number of decimal places, okay, then we could compare them. This is 540 thousandths, this is 504 thousandths. So that's another strategy you can use. Write them with the same number of decimal places and then compare the numbers as if they were whole numbers. Okay. Looking at the next one, we have negative 0.12 and negative 0.2. I'm going to tack a 0 on this so they have the same number of decimal places. Now we know 20 is bigger than 12, okay? But notice both of these are negative. So think about let's just look at integers to make it easier. -2 is here, but -5 is here. So the larger the absolute value of the number, if it's negative, it will be less than the other number. So -0.12 is greater than -0.2. Let's look at the next one. This one's actually easy. Okay, we could start by giving the same amount of decimal places, but notice this is negative and this is positive. Well, if you're a negative number, you're to the left of 0. If you're a positive number, you're to the right. So that means all positive numbers are greater than all negative numbers. So 0.1 is bigger. Oh, here's another one. We have a positive and a negative. Okay, even though 6.21 is bigger, it's negative, so the positive number is bigger. Okay. Now again, we have two negative numbers. I'm going to give them the same number of decimal places. Okay, so they both have a whole number of 3. This is 7/10, and this is, 7/100. This is 70/100. Okay, so this is bigger if it was positive, but that means it's smaller because they're both negative. So -3.07 is bigger. And finally, again, we have two negative numbers. They're the same place values, so we have 7/100 and 6/100. Okay. Well, this is bigger for positive numbers, which means it's smaller for negative numbers. So -0.06 is greater than -0.07.